and MWENDA has to be paid his interest at the end of the year. You get. So that's what Uganda has been going through since 2020. Since 2020, the last 5 years, we've been borrowing short-term money from loan sharks in Nairobi, from commercial banks in Kampala here. You see Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank at exorbitant interest rates. But also we are selling the government bonds, 18%. So what has happened is that, just imagine, Charles, of the total revenue government of Uganda is going to collect this financial year, 46% is going to pay debt. So you have only 54% to pay for salaries, to build roads and bridges and dams. I mean, it's just, I tell my friends, if I was involved in buying government bonds, I would dump my Uganda government bond, because in the next 2 years, unless a miracle happens, because by the way, when I tell you this, even oil itself has been factored, future oil revenues. Uganda may find itself in the same position as Ghana in 2022, because Ghana declared a moratorium, said we cannot afford to pay our debt, printed the money to pay domestic debt, inflation rose to 50%. When it reached 50%, the government said, okay, we can only pay 45%. We are going to cancel all your debt except 45%. But on the 45%, 50% is eaten by inflation. So basically, whoever had 100 cedi was getting 22.5 cedi. It will be difficult for government of Uganda to avoid a situation of default in the next 2 years. It will be extremely difficult. That's why I think that the government of Uganda bond right now is increasingly becoming junk. Why? Because, Charles, in the last 5 years, government of Uganda has indulged itself in things it should never have done. One, they have been giving money to everybody. I think they gave this lady Pinetti 1.4 trillion shillings for this hospital in Lubowa. We gave Magola 765 billion for a pharmaceutical plant that is not coming up. We gave Atiak factory of Amina 560 billion for a sugar factory there. We gave Rogo, which was running bankrupt, 200 billion. We have given this plant of coffee in Tungamo, $87 million. That's about 300 billion shillings. We have bought shares in Fine Spinners here in Ugolobi, 67 billion. I mean, then you are putting about 3 trillion in PDM. It may have won them votes, without a doubt. PDM, Parish Development Model, but you're giving every peasant 1 million shillings, as if every peasant is a Schumpeterian entrepreneur. So we've been on a spending binge, and we're not spending money, we are earning, we are borrowing. You see? So if Museveni is going to face a vulnerability, and if Uganda's economy is going to face a crisis, it's going to come from the fact that a huge share of revenues being collected per year, right now, as I speak, 56%. The next financial year, it may reach even 60%. It means the money you're collecting, you're just paying debt. You can no longer finance anything. So if, Charles, 46% of the revenue you have collected pays debt, how do you finance your other obligations? Both development, remember that most of our aid has been cut off. Western countries are pulling out. The Americans have stopped giving us aid. So money for health, money for education is gone. Money for infrastructure from Western countries, these concessional loans, is gone. World Bank cut all our funding because of the Anti-Homosexuality Act. So how are you going to fund? In fact, we are borrowing more to fund spending, which means that in every financial year, the share of interest payments to total tax revenue is increasing. Now, let me tell you another side problem. There has been little or no investment in improving the tax administration capabilities of URA. That is one. So Uganda Revenue Authority is incapable of collecting the revenues that are due to it because of its weak tax administration. But two, Uganda government has been giving everybody tax exemptions. You come say an investor, they give you exemption. They give an exemption. We have given exemptions to everybody. Of our total imports, 76% of Uganda's imports shares are not taxed. And import customs taxes are the easiest to collect because you collect at the border. It's much easier. Most poor countries collect actually a larger share of their tax revenue from imports. Uganda is a highly import-dependent country, but 76% of the total value of imports are not taxed. Now you can. I want to add the smuggling. This country's economic situation is in such a state that unless the and let me even tell you the final part of the crisis. Uganda government has been restructuring its budget. It no longer has any fat to cut. You know what I mean by fat? You know, some governments have some fake spending on advertising, on public relations, on workshops. Government of Uganda spent the last 10 years cutting all these other non-priority spending. Really, it doesn't have anything else to cut. So one, you have nothing to cut anymore. Two, you have piles and piles of debt that debt service is taking 50% of your revenue. Three, you no longer have external sources of funding, and the domestic sources you have are also very expensive. This is an economic situation. We are an accident waiting to happen.
Charles,
Uganda's economy is a time bomb.
Yes, Bob.
Charles, my disagreement with Andrew is that there is no fat. There is actually a lot of fat. It's just in the wrong places. It's visceral fat, if I may put it that way.